Hi there, how's everybody doing? I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about trusting our process. And today in the lunar cycle is the day 5 of the lunar cycle. And I talked a lot about this transition that the moon goes through, that we go through, the cycles of the moon. We had a new moon about 5 days ago. And the 3 days before the new moon is where we start to let go and resolve, and we can consciously do this. We can consciously enter that process, and it really helps to kind of accelerate our evolution, and we can do it consciously. We can let go of things consciously that we no longer need, so that our levels of consciousness can open up to the next layer or the next piece. And that allows us to hold more light and really accelerate this process that we're all on, this evolutionary process. However, I did want to come on because for me, with this new moon, there was so much light that was coming in. I really did do a lot consciously in the dark moon to release and let go, and just bringing the things up, old patterns, old places of fear and terror that I've experienced, that still felt like there was layers that could be, cleared. And so with the new moon, there was so much light coming in. And what I realized and what I went through was these few days of really being triggered and so when the new moon came through, all of these triggers were still up, and all of these layers were not completely clear. And it's never kind of like, from one day to the other, everything is cleared. And so for like 3 or 4 days, I was really feeling a lot of intensity. And I really wanted to speak about really trusting our process, because we're in very, very intense times right now. And when we ask for acceleration, we might get it. And what happens, at least for me and other people that I work with, what I see and what I did see and have seen in this moon is that a lot of triggers were up. A lot of people were feeling a lot of the old pain coming up, a lot of their fears, a lot of their shame, a lot of their unworthiness. And so it's like really knowing that this is part of the process. So as the light is coming in, and now we're really, really receiving intense amounts of light coming in, not just in the new moon, but throughout the month at different times, that it's going to trigger all of the places in us that we might not be conscious of it, but that we're willing to give up, that we're willing to release. And we might be having all of these feelings. And sometimes we get lost and confused in the feelings when they come up. And it's hard to process. So it's like, if we can just trust the process, trust that what we're experiencing is kind of like all of the darkness, just like we're seeing the darkness around us, just like we're seeing all of these really heavy things that are going on that we can't avoid, all of the fighting and all of the injustices and all of the horrific things that we see every day. So these things are coming up in us because they're also part of our field and part of our narrative that we've held, the unworthiness, the fear, the judgments, and it's almost like sometimes we get flooded, but it's almost like coming from the inside out. And it's important to give ourselves time to hold all of that in light, to move through it, to breathe through it, and to keep trusting the love. Because as I've said before, the love is greater, and the love is what transmutes and transforms. And if we remember that we are light, our consciousness is light, our consciousness is love. And if we hold on to that essence and just trust and keep breathing through, journaling through, acknowledging our feelings so that they have a place to move through, and trusting. And sometimes we have to trust in the unknown. Sometimes that's the process, trust, because it's we don't know where we're going to land, what that's going to look like. And that's part of the fear that comes up when we're releasing old patterns. But knowing that we're always going to land in the love. I think I actually said this in the last video as well. We're always going to land in the love because that's who we are. And if we have nothing to hold on to in the moment, just holding on to the trust and trusting the process. And we are all going to be going as we purge our own narratives, our own places where we're holding unloving thoughts that we've created from survival, for ourselves, and of course the collective survival that we're all feeling right now. And it's going to come up. And trusting the process and knowing that we're feeling these things, these insecurities or fears or shame, etc., because we're clearing, because we're holding more and more light. And not to be afraid of that light as it's coming in and purging these places through you, because those are not really who you are. Those thoughts, those narratives, those emotions, they're not your essence. They're not who you are. And sometimes because we've identified with them, it becomes a little challenging to let go of it. Sometimes we feel like we're crumbling. We are crumbling. And we're not crumbling. What is crumbling is these identifications we've made with these ways of being, with these narratives, with these mental constructs, with these thoughts, and how we've labeled ourselves. And a lot of it is unconscious, but it does feel like we're falling apart. Sometimes it also feels like we're revisiting something that we've visited before over and over and over again, and it feels like we're really not moving or progressing. And these mental constructs are very, very, very deep. These narratives are very deep within us, and we might have had a lot of past lives with the same narratives. For women, we've had thousands of years of living in a culture that isn't supportive of our gender, of our bodies, and so these judgments are really rooted deeply. And so trusting the process, that if it's up and you're doing this walking and you're doing this process consciously because you want to evolve and because you want to realize your full potential, your full light, and be in that light, then you have to trust that intelligence. And that intelligence is the intelligence of the field of love, the oneness, the divine, God, goddess, that is really creating this whole evolutionary process within you. And because you're saying yes to it, you're saying yes. And then it's like then trusting that what's coming up, we're just, moment by moment clearing it. And sometimes it'll take days to clear, and sometimes it'll take minutes or hours. I mean, a long time ago, for me personally, it would take years to clear something. You know, and especially in relationships, a lot of people with this Libra new moon are really, really seeing these issues are coming up in their relationships. And again, it's seeing what it is that, you know, where's that hitting within you is really one of the ways to process it. It's like, what are the emotions that are coming up within you, and having safe space to process that. And then what are your needs? Your responsibility is your need to take care of your needs, and then bring that out into the relationship very clearly, and being responsible for your own emotions and not putting that out on someone else. But that goes into another video. So for today, I just wanted to really connect with all of you, and just trust the process during these very intense, crazy times that we're in. So thank you, and peace.